Hey guys, it is Brido here, and welcome back to our Liverpool Career Mode series. This is episode 21, and in today's episode we have quite a bit on the table as we're going through pretty much the whole offseason of our Liverpool Career Mode heading into Season 2. We're going to be making our transfers and also looking at a bunch of stuff that happened, and at the same time too, going to be playing our preseason games, and you guys can see a little bit of highlights from those as well. Not as deep highlights as we normally do, but a little bit of look into how some of our younger players played, as I tried to give as many of our younger guys a chance just to see what they were all about, and also give some of our newer guys an opportunity to play too. But enough about that, we'll get to that in a little bit. For the time being though, we'll look at the other leagues here. You guys can see what happened in the other leagues of football around the globe. And we're starting off here looking at England after those other ones there. And you can see the Empowered Championship, Blackburn and Wolverhampton were at top. They both get promoted to the Premier League, and along with that, Bolton won the playoffs, so Bolton is going to be up there as well. So the three teams that we've seen previously in the Premier League from last season that got relegated are now back up, so there's no real surprises there, but I was kind of hoping that we might see something a little bit different. It's always nice to see, those teams that maybe you wouldn't expect make the Premier League move up, because it's kind of fun to see what they can do. And I always get excited too when, a team makes it up. In my Sheffield Wednesday career that I keep referencing from time to time, I believe Birmingham City were able to make it up the first season and never went down. I was always excited to watch how they did, because I was happy to see a team that, they're obviously a good team. They've spent time in the Premier League, but a team that now is kind of having trouble getting their way back up, really, find themselves there and stay there as well, bring in some great players, get some money going, and continue their growth in the league. Besides the English leagues, though, things were pretty status quo. As you can see, Borussia Dortmund won the Bundesliga, and Serie A, Juventus also won as well, both winning the league titles, kind of expected as their reigning champions. But the interesting one for me was in the Dutch league that PSV actually took the title. I know that they're not a bad team. They are definitely one of the best teams in the Dutch league, but at the same time too, I was expecting Ajax to take that one. So an interesting one in that. But for the rest of them, is really status quo at this point. I'm excited though for the future of this, this series and whatnot, because it gets exciting when you start seeing those teams, get maybe some extra money put into them. They start playing a little bit better. Wayne Rooney played for Fulham for like 3 or 4 seasons in my Sheffield Wednesday career. So you get some interesting things happening such as that. So it'll be exciting to see what potentially will happen in our careers. We've really had no money takeovers that we've been aware of to this point. So right now we're pretty pure. Everything seems pretty normal, minus the fact that Manchester United almost slipped out into the European spots. Arsenal staying in the European spots. Everything else seems pretty status quo to this point. The FA Cup there, you can see that Manchester United won, and we've already kind of covered that, but I wanted to go over it once more. Also, the Capital One Cup right here, you guys can see our close run that we did have, reminding ourselves that we had a chance to really win and repeat as the Capital One Cup champions, but just were unable to do it. You guys have been also talking about the fact too that there's potential for glitches to happen and whatnot, but I'm happy to announce thus far things look good as we've gone through these small parts right here. We've looked at potentially what could go wrong. I've tried to keep my minimum to the player faces, because I heard that's something that might be an effect in a negative way. But you can see that players have returned from loan, and also players it continues. We get a couple more emails, and I show those as well. There you can see that Martin Skirtle is asking for a higher wage, and I'm more than happy to offer that to him. So we give him $70,000 a week, and we give him that offer, and he does accept it. So a good thing there. Obviously, we don't want to be getting into any real crises, real drama stories, because I really don't enjoy, especially when it gets into the middle of the season, I don't enjoy reading those constant newspaper articles about our players and whatnot. But the good news is that our domestic cup performance was considered very good from them, so happy to say that we had a great season. We actually, considered in their eyes, had a super season. So good to know that we did a good job in our first season, but that just means that the objectives for us next season are all that much harder. How hard do you say? Well, the first goal that we've got set for us is to win the league title, which is, something that I was possibly expecting, because we had a good season, but I really was hoping that they just say, make the Champions League once again. Usually the board is quite ambitious, so I was kind of like, okay, maybe we can handle this. Maybe this is something that we can persuade, we can get close to it, they can be maybe semi-happy, and we can kind of deal with it. But at the same time too, that they weren't done with that. They wanted to continue with those very high, lofty expectations. So moving on from that, we got 2 more emails, one for the Domestic Cup and one for the Champions League. And for the Champions Cup, as they call it, they want us to win the cup. For the Domestic Cup, they want us to win the cup. So essentially, they want us, after having our first real positive season after a while, they want us to pull off a treble, which is something I think that we're nowhere near doing at this point. And I'm a little bit worried now, because I'm worried that they're gonna fire me, and I have the system set so that they can fire me. So we're just gonna have to do the best we can. Obviously, I want to do this series on Liverpool. I don't want to switch my team or anything like that. I don't think they will get too upset with us, just as long as we do really good in these competitions. And even if we probably succeed in one of the 3, that'll keep them, relatively happy. And then they might even give us just a season, or they'll probably they're not lenient because they're giving us really tough, lofty goals. But at the same time too, I think that they're also goals that we can undershoot just a bit, and they can still be happy with our results. So, do not fret, guys. I think that we're able to accomplish the goals for the season. Obviously, I do not think we're going to make the treble. That if we do, wow, okay, that would be crazy. But that's something that we can shoot for maybe down the road. But for now, I think that we could still please them if maybe winning the Domestic Cup. We can really put our eggs in that basket and try as hard as we can to win those. And also push for the league title. I think the Champions League, or if you want to call it the Champions Cup, is something that we can work towards, we can continue to get better at. But I'm not putting any expectations on us to do really good. Now I want to get our feet wet this first season back, and hopefully do well, obviously. But there's no expectations for us to go anywhere near the final of that. In the future, that's something that we want to do, but for now, we don't have to worry. At least in my opinion, my expectations of the team are not there as of yet. We're moving on to transfers now, guys, and I kind of have this transfer system set up so you guys will know. You can see Fabio Borini was sold there. I know some of you guys wanted him to stay at the club, and my whole transfer system I do have set up is that we have these key players. I kind of fumbled on a little bit because, I said in the comments of the past episode, someone offered £42.5 million, I believe it was Manchester City, for Luis Suarez, and I was really contemplating the situation, but I kind of came to the result that, you know what? We have guys like Bernd Leno, Robert Lewandowski, and also Luis Suarez as well. These are our core players. We're not going to sell them. We're not going to, even though it's great to have money, I really want to keep the core of this team. I don't want to change this team too much. I know that we can, but I want to keep what this, image is. It's Liverpool that we're playing with here. We're not playing with this, world national team. I like my international players, and I'm going to continue to bring in international players too. Personally, I've got, German heritage, so if you guys see me buying a little bit more German than anything else, there's a reason for that, because I like my German players. But at the same time, too, I'm going to make it so essentially we are, buying players that we can get a good price on, but they're also players that we really can feel confident with. And we'll sell players only in the case that they are, we're getting a great deal for them as well. We'll keep them otherwise, but if we get a really nice offer, then that's something that we can be a little bit lenient on there. So selling Borini kind of opened up some space for us there. We actually had offers for Kroos and Muller, but we weren't able to bring in 2 players if we did one of them. So I decided to go with Alexander Merkel. I heard good things from a couple of you guys regarding him, and I think that he could be a real great star in the center attacking midfield for us, and kind of be the guy that's kind of ushered in after Steven Gerrard is. We are obviously going to keep him till he retires, but he's still getting up there in age, and we're going to want someone that's going to be able to play his role, start to grow in that role, and continue forward from there. Also, we bring in Lars Bender as well, Sven Bender, his brother, I believe, and maybe a little bit less known than Sven, but at the same time too, Lars seems like a really great defensive midfielder, a holding midfielder, and from the experience I've had from the preseason, he also is good on the ball as well, so I'm quite excited to have that. I want to have those holding midfielders, but I also want them to be players too that can play on the ball. They're not, Lucas Leiva is my only my negative thing, that when I play with him, I feel like he can't really shoot that well, and I know that he plays a great defensive game, but it's a little bit more dicey when I play with him comparatively to other players, so I'm happy to bring in Bender there, and also we got Merkel now up front. Instead of going with the center forward, I'm going to be going with the center attacking mid, so we continue to use as many midfielders as we can, have the wingers going on, and then Suarez can play in the striking role if needed, but he can also play on the wings too. And in the odd case, if we really, maybe have an injury in the attacking midfield area, we can also just switch that to center forward, and he can fill in at the time. As I've said, this video is moving quite fast. We're going through quite a bit of stuff, so obviously you can see that we did some loan deals. Danny Pacheco going out on loan, Sam Yeschel going out on loan, I believe Adam Morgan as well going out on loan. We have some more players coming up in that area too. So we're trying to give out as many of our younger players a chance to go play elsewhere and give them an opportunity to play, because in a lot of cases they're not going to get as many opportunities because we have quite a full squad as is right now. And our first game here, we're having a pretty good game. I'm starting to get the feel. Merkel had a pretty strong start for us. I was happy with his play in the middle of the field. You can see he's getting a good amount of the opportunities here, and quite happy with him. Sven Bender as well, great opportunity there. And Andy Carroll on the free header puts that one away. And you know what? I'm actually warming up to him a little bit after playing with him. And if we do get a really great offer, because his value is continuing to rise, I very well might take the offer, just because of the fact that we really do have quite a few forwards. And with that said, if we do have as many players as we have right now, it's kind of one of those things where younger players don't get as much time to play, they don't get as much development in. And as our squad's really building towards the future, having these players, get the proper time, and really guys like Sterling and Delafeu, I really enjoy playing with too. And I don't want to stunt their growth. I don't want them to not turn out as best as they possibly can. So it's one of those things that guys like Carroll and Asadi, they are good players, but I don't enjoy playing with them as much. I don't feel like I have as great of a game with them. And they're both quite valuable, so I'm not going to throw them out the door. I'm not going to say, here, take them for this money. But I'm also going to consider the offers that come, and I'm going to consider the opportunities that we do get for them, because if we're able to sell one of them for that 12 to 16 or so million pounds, then we can use that money to potentially bring in another young player, another young winger potentially, and also help our scouting system, because right now we have that 3-star scout, and I like to improve that. I like to bring in another 5-star scout. I like to really make the club something for the future, that we're able to scout players, we're able to bring in these young players that play for our team for years to come. And also too, if someone maybe we're able to find a great player that doesn't really fit our system, then we can also sell them for a pretty penny as well. So those are all positives of bringing in a scout, and I think that's something that we should do. But with the money the way it is right now, we're going to definitely need either a sale of a Carroll or a Sadi to kind of help promote that type of move. With that said as well, I want the younger players to play, the younger players to get a chance. And I still want to bring one more forward in, and this is kind of touching on the fact that obviously we have quite a few right now, and I'm not willing to bring them in until we kind of shore up the situation. The two players in question under that, though, are either Tom Ince or Wilfried Zaha, two young, great wingers that have a lot of potential, and it's one of those things I really want to bring one of those two guys in. I think they would be great at Liverpool. Obviously, Tom Ince is a previous Liverpool player, previous Liverpool youth squad player, moving on to Blackpool, but I think that he'd be a great fit here. Also, Wilfried Zaha, obviously another great young player as well. So I'll leave it to you guys to kind of say which one you'd like to see more. I probably will post two comments, Tom Ince and then Wilfried Zaha. Whichever one gets the most thumbs up would be the one that I would kind of turn my eyes to a little bit more. But at the same time as well, I will not be signing one of them till we kind of create a little bit of room, because I think that right now it'd be great to bring one of them in, but we have Maddox, we have Asadi, we have Carroll, three guys that are in there, but then we have Lewandowski, Suarez, Delafeu, and Sterling. That's, quite a bit of guys, and we really do not need that much depth right now. Those are all players that are actually on our team too, not even players that are loaned out. So we need to at least let go of one of those guys to kind of create the space, also create a little bit of money as well. And if we do sell Carroll or Sadi, we can also use that money to bring in a 5-star scout too. So that's kind of the goal that I have, but that's something that we're going to have to wait for, because it's going to be something that will take a little bit of time to do. We might see that move come in before the transfer window ends, but we still have to wait and see if we're able to make a sale such as that. So the review for the season, or the preview for the season, says that we're going to be second in league, which is quite a lofty tag for us to have going into the season. So that kind of makes me a little bit happy though, seeing that we are considered to be quite a good squad as is. So it's not really like our board is just throwing us under the bus or anything. So that's something that we can definitely look at as a positive thing. Moving on though, I wanted to touch a little bit on the preseason games that we did have. I was really happy with our game against Inter Milan. I did start a little bit more of a senior lineup for that game, but the reason for that was obviously because we were facing quite a tough side. I wanted our team to be prepared and also take them down. I wanted to beat Inter Milan at the San Siro. We were able to do that there. And our game against Mainz was also good as well. We started some younger players there. And the development is definitely strong in the preseason, so it's great to give that younger squad a chance to play. And against Udinese, we probably started our youngest squad of all. And there's a great opportunity for Lars Bender there. A shot that pretty much crossed the whole mouth of goal, went off the bar. Would have been a beautiful one if it went in. But not too long later, they get a penalty off an absolute horrendous penalty there by Quartez. It was almost laughable, but we give up the goal. And then Delafo here, great work on the ball, gets it in, just puts it past the Udinese keeper there. And that play there essentially highlights the fact why I really want to give him some more playing time, as I really think, like him and Sterling, they have so much potential, and they're already great players as it is. They were given a little bit more time to grow, a little bit more time to have more of an opportunity to play. I think that they'd be absolutely fantastic for us. This game does go the way of the bad, though, later on, as Luis Muriel gets another goal for us, a guy that you guys talked about potentially bringing in. And my eye is definitely on him now after this game. He had a great game against us. But Andy Carroll here almost gets a goal for us, another header opportunity for him. And, showing his worth as well, obviously not as great, as a ball controller or as great as passing ability as, Lewandowski does have. But he's really been fantastic in the air in the preseason games that he has played. And he does show his worth, definitely. He continues to grow as a player. And, we either are going to get a lot of money for him or we're able to use him as a potential key asset for our team going into Season 2 of our Liverpool career mode. With that said, we will wrap up the episode here with the squad report. You guys can see the development of our players in the past 3 games of the preseason. Also, stay tuned for our next episode where we'll be playing West Ham in our opener, and also in the near future when we play our final 2 group stage games with Denmark and get our Champions League debut. Thanks guys for watching the series, and I hope you enjoyed this episode.